I'm here with one of my favorite card magicians, Justin Higham. And before we get into it, I want to kind of secretly boast about you. Actually, not secretly, you're right here. But Justin is a card magician that is extremely prolific. I think probably the most prolific British card magician of all time. I know you don't quite agree, but you've written maybe 20 magic books, published dozens of magic magazines over the years. But the way I like to think about Justin is he is the guy at the cutting edge of sleight of hand card magic. So when I'm looking for the best method to do a side steal or a best bottom palm, Justin is where I look, because you're the guy who's studied from all of the masters and has found the best ways forward. And so for that reason, that's why I gave Justin the challenge for this first masterclass to teach us 30 different techniques. So the next 90 minutes are going to be jam-packed with material. And Justin is in some ways, a man of few words, because you don't boast about your own work. You're kind of just a quiet expert. So I thought it'd be fun to come along for the ride and ask questions and see how we go. Bit of background about yourself. First of all, you studied magic with Marlowe since you were like 16 years old. Yeah. You would fly to Chicago and spend time with him. Yes. Who else did you study with?
Well, the thing is, when you study any master in depth, you are in fact a student of that person, whether you realize it or not. So anybody around the world who studies Vernon or Slidini or anybody at all, you are a student of that person. And I first bought my first Marlowe books when I was about maybe 11 years old from Alan Allen's Magic Spot in central London. He sold me 3 booklets, the Side Steal Miracle Card Changes, and one of the Multiple Shift book. And these were like scientific textbooks. And so I was studying Marlowe from the get-go.
3 books that all the techniques require bigger hands.
Exactly.
Not only for an 11-year-old.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Well, let's get started. I'm really excited for these techniques. So along the way, I will try and stay quiet, but I will pitch in when excited.
Don't stay quiet. So should we start with the full tilt?
Great, perfect.
Yeah. So this is a control. So the aces are going to be lost into the deck in 4 different places, and they have actually been controlled to the bottom. Okay. So I call this full tilt because that's really what it is. It's a tilt move. It's the same concept as the tilt, but going to the bottom. So if I just swivel around to my right, I'm going to show the exposed view on this, which is to lift half with the left thumb, then you insert the corner underneath, and then 2 things happen. You drop and you shoot the card in. So if you do that simultaneously, you get the illusion that the card's been pushed into the deck.
Now, when I do this, I'm coming in, and it's quite slow to push the card square into the deck. But you're going really quick.
You need to line it up first.
Okay.
And then once you're lined up, then you shove it in.
That changes everything, because it was just too slow for me.
Exactly.
So, okay, great. And so it's, you call it a tilt. It's not actually tilt, because it's not going second from bottom. It's going straight to the bottom, but it's a tilt style move. Okay, great. And then you do that for all 4.
So, exactly. So now there are ways to get it second from bottom. So for example, if I in-jog the bottom card, then I can do exactly the same move, and I can hit that card to second from bottom. So the way that operates is to just in-jog, just do an in-jog on the bottom card. Then if I swing around again to show you the exposed view, we do the same thing, and I just come down. If I exaggerate, the camera can pick that up. So if you come down onto the in-jog and then line it up and then shove it forward, then you get the card second from bottom. So one more time. For example, if the 4th card from bottom happens to be in-jogged, then naturally enough, when you go for the full tilt, you get the card 5th from the bottom. So that's quite an interesting move, in my opinion. And also, there are natural ways you can employ that. So, for example, if these are over here, let's say, I'll keep it on camera there. So you might be talking to somebody, you might be doing, setting up for a multiple shift, and you're talking to them, and you do this, and you're shuffling forward like that, and then you accidentally, on purpose, realise you left one behind. You can just shove that card in as well. And that's a little kind of finesse on the multiple shift.
So you wouldn't use it for a selection, for example? You more use it for multiple cards?
I don't know, because it depends on the situation. Okay, then there may be times when you want to, maybe at the end of a trick, you want to lose a card but keep it. So also the other thing is that a lot of people have this big thing about the diagonal palm shift and whatever. It's not a move I use. I would much rather take a card and insert it into the deck and just do the full tilt move, and then sometime later come back for a bottom palm. Because once you've got the card in the bottom palm, you can spread the, I'm here in the classic palm, you can spread the cards, you can do swing cuts and whatever, whenever you want to, you can just get the card out like that. So that's how I would, one of the ways I would use the full tilt move, kind of instead of the diagonal palm shift as a two-step alternative.
I noticed something when you got an in-jog that I'm not used to. You got a break first and then you move?
Yeah, because my hands are dry.
Okay.
Yeah. If your hands are not dry, I mean, at the moment they're a little bit moist, but you can just slide the deck. But
right.
Yeah, I get an in-jog and then I do that.
So you get a break and then they pull forward. Oh, just to keep it separated. Oh, I'd never seen that before. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Great first move. We're off to a good start.
So there was a move that I had many years ago, which one of the things that I believe in very much is what I call real-world moves. This is not a real-world move, so I'll get this over with. This is really a card session-y type move. But this is a very, very esoteric thing. So it's not the kind of thing you want to do under pressure like this. But so anyway, so they say stop and they see the card, and then they can pick that one up. Yeah, okay, and then you do that. So we're down the table, then we come back and we cut the cards there, and we hit the cards second from the top. So I don't know what card.
It was a 7 of clubs.
7, was it 7 or 6?
Maybe it's 6 clubs. Yeah, it was hard to see.
So the effect is that you take the top card and you change it into the selection of 6 of clubs. So the way this works is that you set up for the secret Svengali condition, which is the name that Marduk gave for a pharaoh, where you don't fully square up. So you leave them like a Svengali type deck.
And he used that for like the incomplete pharaoh control stuff, right? Yeah. So kind of secretly do some of that stuff.
That's right.
Okay.
So once you're in that position, you then give a little bevel like that. So now the deck is beveled this way and that way. Okay. So when you then do this one-handed riffle, they call out stop, and you show the card, let's say 5 of clubs, and then you push back on the lower half and then raise the deck and push back on the top half. And what happens is you end up with an indent, which is like a short card.
Yeah.
So then when you come over the back and you riffle up, you feel this click. Okay. So that brings the 5 of clubs to second from top. So then you show the top card, you say that wasn't your card, and then you do the change, any change to the second card.
Like you say, not a real world card move.
Not a real world.
Super cool though.
So that's a very long-winded way to introduce a move that Vernon did, which is a real world move, which I've never seen in print. It was one of 3 things he could still do at the age of 95. So the spectator will have taken a selected card. You proffer the deck. You say just push the card in like that.
Yeah.
So now you come back and you tap the card in. You can get a break below the card, or you can cut above the card. Same thing. So the way that works is that if you hold a deck like this, the spectator cannot push it in further than the pressure point. Right. So if I just if I tilt the hand down like that, you put the thumb on the top and you tap back, and that creates a plunger action at the back. So you tap like that, then you turn the deck to the right, and you swivel the deck around like that, and then you tap that back, and it just plunges the selection straight back. It's very, very similar to the lapel fan control, which I'm sure you know, which is a more advanced version of the same thing, which is like that, right? So let me just see. Yeah. So that's the Vernon kind of plunger move. So the selection goes in. You put the thumb on the top. You tamp it back like that. Then you grasp the end and you turn the end for end, and then you tamp that back, and the selection comes straight back. Okay, so you can cut above or below.
You know what I like about this? Unlike a lot of the other kind of in-jog controls, it's just that card that sticks out at the end. Like it jumps out at the back.
That's right.
It's so much cleaner.
However much it sticks out when you tamp the deck in, it will stick out the same amount when it goes back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
So the lapel fan control. I don't know how many viewers will know this move, but you put the aces in like that, and you tamp them in like that. Okay. Then you close the deck up and you put it down on the table, and then when you want to, you can just do the strip move like this to get the aces back. Okay. So that's the Vernon move is I don't know whether he based it on that, or I don't even know whether it's his move. But it's a very practical move.
Yeah, it's great. Can you tell me a bit about meeting Vernon?
Well, he was very old. He did 3 moves. He did that move. He did the Nace one-handed shift, and one other move I can't remember at the moment. But yeah, it was fascinating talking to him. Just very rare opportunity to meet somebody from that generation.
Yeah.
This was 1989 when I met him.
At the castle?
No, the Las Vegas Desert Seminar.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Which very rarely indeed was a convention attended by both Marlowe and Vernon.
Mm-hmm. And they got on really well at that convention, right?
Yeah.
Hanging out?
They were very cordial. Marlowe, Jennings were very, very cordial. So, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun at that convention. I
read about that convention once. Like, everybody was there, right? It was just an absolute who's who of people, because Marlowe and Vernon were there together. And I heard that Marlowe was, like, just the most fun, going around showing everyone magic. And
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, a really great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, once in a lifetime experience, that. Yeah.
Vernon said some really nice stuff about you as well. I remember reading that in print. I won't get you to repeat it, but that just reminded me of how much of a fan Vernon was of your work, which is really cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's. There's another move in this section as well, right?
Well, yeah, there are a few other moves. So there's a version of the double undercut. Maybe I don't know whether people like the double undercut. But the double undercut move is where you have the selection returns, and then you cut them like this, and you then just square them up like that. And it's just a little finesse on the double undercut. So the idea is to have it returned, and then when you do the 2 cuts, the impression is that it's still at the step, you see. So when you do that, it's now there. So yeah, that's one variation on the double undercut. And another esoteric variation is this, which is to start off with a shallow return of the selection, followed by a shallow cut, followed by a deep cut. And if you want to combine it with a step double undercut, you can. So, for example, you can do this in the card returns, followed by a shallow cut and then a deep cut. Again, it gives the impression it's lower down in the deck, which the original doesn't really convey.
Yeah, I like the fact that often a double undercut is just kind of done offhandedly, and then we, almost like the performer is not often even looking at the cards when it happens.
Yeah, it's a fiddle.
Yeah.
The double undercut is just a fiddle, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's good to follow it up straight with a dovetail shuffle, in my opinion.
Okay, let's just talk through the handling one time quickly for the double undercut, the first one you showed us with the step.
Yeah. So the break is taken above the target card.
Yep.
Then we undercut third, bringing out, and we place it on top with an angle. Mm-hmm. It's that angle there. I can't see the monitor because it's not on.
Yeah, you
but
put the monitor back
then if we undercut the second at the break, the second packet, which goes straight onto the first packet, you end up with a step.
Yeah, great. And do you tend to put it down?
You can put it down. You can put it down and square them up. Again, it's one of those things where you go with the feel at the moment.
Right. It's great. It's really great.
Yeah.
And talk to me more about why you believe there should be a shuffle afterwards.
Well, because the double undercut looks like a fiddle. It's like the card goes back, so you're kind of just fiddling. I believe that a control should look like you're losing the card. To me, one of the best controls is simply the one where you just go straight into a dovetail shuffle, because you're not control. You and I are using the shuffle to control the card. Mm-hmm. But the layperson, you're doing the shuffle to lose the card.
Yeah. I think one of the best controls is the Mahatma control. False shuffle, just because it's so...
Yes.
Yeah, again, so casual, but it's just exactly how lay people would lose a card.
Exactly. So the Mahatma control, or one of Marlowe's first books, he calls this the riffle pass, which is just it goes back, you got the break, then you go into the dovetail shuffle. Mm-hmm. So yeah, to me, those are two very much real world ways of controlling cards.
Yeah, Marlowe also uses that in Marlowe's Discoveries, where he does it with 10 selections.
Yeah, that's right.
Multiple cards.
Yeah. So one more little. Again, this is more for magicians, but sometimes lay people do catch on. They really do. You do a double like that, and I've had lay people who, after a while, they think that they're following what you're doing. So what you can do then is you can do multiple drop cuts like this. You see, to lose the card for real, but it's actually on the top.
Great.
Okay. So what's going on there is that you do the fiddle, right? You do the two quick cuts like that, but you've not fully cut the last section. Okay, so let me just clarify what it means. So I'm going to undercut, then I'm going to undercut a little bit less than the last packet. Mm-hmm. So then that's your fiddle. You've done that quite quickly. And
you still have a break above the selection.
Break. So now when I hold a break, I very often come to this position. Mm-hmm. This is like an off-stage position. This is like on stage, it's off-stage.
Right.
So you come off stage like this. Then when you go forward and you mix the cards up, it's now nobody can follow what's going on.
And that's when you bring the focus in, when you come in and then you do.
Yeah, you may do. I mean, the thing is that there's different types of focus. So there can be, look, I'm doing something, but there can also be, he's on stage, but he doesn't quite realise he's on stage. Even though I do realise I'm on stage. It's more like one of those situations.
I remember once I was watching a video back of a performance of mine, like just to review it, and I noticed that I shuffled a stacked deck, and I was like, "What did I do?" And it turned out it was a false shuffle, and it happened without me even thinking about
That's right.
And I guess that's the best kind of false shuffle, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You kept a break there, and then you had this kind of nice thing where you're keeping your hands down here. Do you have any other break throw-offs that we could share?
Well, not really, because these things where you come up and you square the deck, I think that they're good, but they're not really for me. I don't really hang around too long with breaks, other than the occasional holding a break, waiting to do a classic pass or a move like this. You mentioned the Mahatma. There is one thing, again, maybe this is a bit too magician-y, but what I do is this, like that. But it's basically a throw-off for magicians. It's a fake, what I call a fake jog shuffle.
Oh, that's fun.
So the fake jog shuffle, if I just use that card for this, the selection is returned. Then we go into the Mahatma control.
Can you just teach that briefly? It's such an easy control to teach.
Yeah.
So we should.
The secret of the Mahatma control is to push the little finger all the way in. You push the finger all the way in, so that when you lift off the top, so the thumb goes underneath and you lift off the top of do this and shuffle. If you don't put the little finger all the way in, this is very, very loose. It's very, very loose, so that the finger acts as a pivot. So anyway, with the fake jog shuffle, you do the Mahatma, but then you in-jog one card and you shuffle off.
Fun, yeah.
So again, maybe it's for magicians, but it's also, again, for the lay people who think they're following what you're doing.
And so the Mahatma control, just for those who don't know, it's the easiest control to do, yet it just looks so good. So you just have a break above your selection. And then basically, as you pick up the top packet, you're turning both packets over, like you don't have that much of a gap. And then you just start shuffling and the card ends up on top of the deck. It's an old control from Mahatma magazine, but it's well worth learning. And that's a really great subtlety.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing, as far as controls are concerned, let's say we've got the selection, so you'll be holding the selection. You can put it back on either half, it doesn't matter which half you put back on. Okay. So you go like that, and then you just come up like this, and you square up.
Fun.
And then you tap the deck. Now this is the old mock pass. It's called the mock pass. If you take the selection again and put it on the other half, it doesn't make any difference because again you just necktie the hands and you come together like this. So the secret of this, so if I did it from the front, when you necktie first and then you bring the hands together, you're just simply bringing whichever half has the selection to the top. So if it's on the other half, you bring that half on the top. It's the same move. But the reason I'm mentioning that is that I saw a video of Scarney doing a spin cut as a control. Now, you wouldn't normally think that's a very interesting control, but when he did the spin as a control, he finished it with this. And psychologically, this is very, very strong because it's like he's squaring them up. It must be in the middle.
Yeah.
So when you do the mock pass with this square up like this and then that. Must be in the middle because why else are you making sure it's lost? So yeah, it's a fun thing to use because it's very bold. But again, I think I would probably go into a shuffle pretty soon after, which may be contradictory. You think, well, what's the point of doing a mock pass followed by a shuffle? But again, it's I think that if you're there and you square up and they can see there's no breaks, then you go straight into a shuffle. I think it's good. Yeah. Cool. So just a couple more things on the controls. The first one, these are a couple of moves I published many years ago. The first one is this move where you show the selection and then you come in like this and square up. This is Cardaro had two controls which I didn't think were very good, and so I played around with them. That was the first method. The second method is to come up and you do this like that, and again it's on the top. So from the rear angle, and I can't see the monitor. So the first control, you show the selection, you come back to the break, and then you do the this buckling action here. These are simply inserted behind, and you square up like that. Okay, so it's just this is an old method of getting a break. I think Harvey Rosenthal came up with this method. Darryl also used that method. Mm-hmm. Then the other control is very much like Cardaro's false deal move, but you buckle the card down, then you insert the corner into the gap, and then you square up. Okay.
Are you spreading the cards to square to get that card in, or are you just?
So these cards have been spread.
Oh, they're still spread. Sorry.
And the selection has been taken. Mm-hmm. Then you show the selection like this, and then you come back and you do that. You do the control.
Great.
Yeah. So yeah, those are two more ways of controlling cards.
And this is a bit like the mock pass. You're coming right up when you do
Yeah,
it.
that's right. So the secret of the mock pass is to have the card return. You can either have it return on that half, and then you necktie, and then you put it together. And when you're in that position, you can't see which half's going on the top.
Right.
Yeah. And if the selection is on this half, you necktie first, and then you put the corners together.
Great.
Then you can't tell. Do this thing, and then you go into a shuffle, whatever.
You know what I like about all of these controls, which must be 6 or 7 controls you've taught already? None of them are difficult.
Yeah,
every single one of them.
Yeah,
it's easy to do.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So that pretty much wraps up the controls. Yeah.
Well, once you control a card, you need to false shuffle the deck.
Well,
often.
yeah. So false shuffles. There's. I'll show one of each: Hindu shuffle, overhand shuffle, ripple shuffle.
Great.
So the if I just do this one, this is from this is a move that is actually a false Hindu shuffle. Okay.
Great.
So now I don't claim the false Hindu shuffle. James Durango came up with a false Hindu shuffle. But the one little tip I've got on the false Hindu shuffle is the flip. Is the flip. So the cards are in a raised grip, and we use the ring finger to flip them like that. So what happens is that I'm going to strip from the bottom. This is the bottom packet coming forward. Then it's going to flip off the rest of the deck like that, and therefore it appears to come from the top.
Great. So you're basically plucking it back over. Like,
Precisely.
is there a plucking move?
There is. Yeah. So it's actually
great.
It's a flip, and you don't need to do it too fast. You can do it slowly like that. And the other little tip is to riffle them off with the right thumb.
Oh.
So I'm riffling off with the right thumb, and then I can take that back and it comes off like that. So when you come forward like that, you just get a normal shuffle.
So the first finger is kind of important in this.
Yeah, I think so. The index finger is there on the top. Yeah, absolutely.
What can you teach us about the angles of this? Because I've seen some people do a false Hindu like down here, and others kind of around here. Like, what's the best angle?
Well, if I turn this way and I do the move from that angle, okay, that would be the worst angle. Mm-hmm. So this is a move from the front. You're facing your audience, and this would be the angle that you would do it for most people. And if you turn, it's the usual thing, isn't it? You're looking and talking and interacting with people while you're doing this move. So
this is another one of those moves that people should see in their peripheral more than actually be burning.
Yeah, precisely. Precisely.
Although, I've seen some people, Ben Earl, I believe, does your version, and Andy Frost, like when you see them do it, it's incredible. You can't tell that it's false.
I mean, I'm sure they do it better than I do, because
I don't think that's true.
But anyway, so that's a useful move to have. And the false riffle shuffle, which I'm going to show, is the illusory false shuffle.
Okay.
So this is not normally a tabled move. I'll do it on the table first, and it's like this. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is we don't have the usual demonstration thing of having the deck set up, but this is a full deck false shuffle. So it starts off. You can do it on the table. But if I stand up to show you how you would normally do the move in a standing situation, so you'd come up to here, and you would start the move like this, and you do it on your leg. So you would actually rest the cards on your leg and do this.
That's great.
You give it a nice loud riffle. Okay. So the way it works is that you start with a slip cut type action, one card. Then you grasp both halves with the right hand like this in the middle grip. Then you retake the top half. So at the moment the hands are mirroring each other. Now, normally you would shuffle the cards like this, right? Your right thumb, or rather your left thumb, sorry, is just going to lift up one card. So you're going to lift up one, and then you're simply going to riffle the other up underneath, like that. Okay. Now, once you're in that position, your right thumb comes to the back. Then your left hand is going to swing them around on the top. You're going to cup it from the front. Okay. Now, why do we do it on the leg? Because you as I've just shown you can't do the move just in the air like that. Okay. The reason you do it on the leg is so that you've got natural cover. Because if I do the slip up and I re-grip, if I raise my leg, it forces me to turn to my right. So now all they see from the back is this angle. Then I do a loud riffle to simulate both halves, and then we square up on the leg, and then we come back down again.
That's cool.
So yeah, so I'll show an exposed view sitting down for this.
It reminds me of I think it's Hank Miller. This you see the thing with the top card where it kind of gets to add to the noise.
You do it very well. Yeah, this is probably an easier move to do. But if I show the slip cut followed by the double grip followed by that hand, then my left thumb raises a card up, and then you can't actually. That's not. I can't show. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Then we do this and then release that, followed by this squaring up action there.
Square up looks great.
Yeah. So that's my old teacher Bobby Bernard used to do the Greater Magic shuffle, which is the one on the table like that. You see. Mm-hmm. So this is that's a very, very good move in my opinion. So you do this and then you do that and then you square up. That's another way of doing it. Yeah, it's a very, very good move.
Also, the move that started the Shank Shuffle and a Zero controversy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly one of those moves. So and then overhand full shuffles, I think they've already been done. But one idea on the shuffle is what I call the double pickup full shuffle. So the double pickup is where you do two pickups. So I will show what that means. Again, I'm going to swivel around to my right and show the angles on that. So the first is to chop off a packet from the top, and we come down and get a thumb break. Mm-hmm. We now chop off another packet from the top, and this time I'm going to come down and I'm going to pick it up with the ring finger. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to pick up that packet with the ring finger while chopping off a packet from the top.
Not all of the cards above the break, though, just some cards?
So let's get back to the start.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So pick up with the thumb, chop off another packet, come down and pick up that packet in my left hand with the ring finger.
Yep.
Like that.
Okay.
And then we chop another packet, then we throw the ring finger packet, then we throw the top packet, and then we throw the remaining packet.
Wow.
So if I do it with the odd card on the top. So we pick up that first packet with the thumb break. Mm-hmm. Okay. We chop off another packet with the thumb. We come down and steal that packet with the ring finger.
Yep.
Then I throw that ring finger packet. Then I come back and I throw the top packet and then I throw the remaining packet.
Wow. Okay. That takes some brain power.
This is the type of thing that's much easier to do in the flow of the actions rather than trying to explain it. As soon as you explain it, it all gets probably wrong. Yeah. But that's, I think if they slow the tape down and analyze it, they'll see what's going on.
Can you do that in real time for me?
Yeah. So you're here and you do that. Okay.
That's great.
So you're here and you just do this.
Love it.
Yeah. I got one more shuffle which I call the mentalist shuffle, which is I'm not being facetious, but if what you do is you go like this, okay. Now the funny thing is that if you do that, again, it's a peripheral thing. the audience is looking at you talking, and you're kind of this action looks more than it really is. It's just a cut, but you're just anybody who doesn't regard themselves as a card magician and deliberately does not want to display skill would use a move like that. Because I've seen lay people kind of trying to cut cards, and I thought, yeah, you know what? It actually looks like there's more going on than there is.
It reminds me of, I think it's in Hidden Agenda, Roberto Giobbi tells a story about watching Charlie Chaplin shuffle a deck of cards, and he realized that actually he wasn't shuffling at all, he was just kind of doing this kind of thing.
Okay.
It's a bit like that. And also kind of reminds me of, is it the Hunter shuffle, like this kind of shuffle?
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. So all you're doing is it's nothing.
You're doing nothing at all. You're trying to release half the deck and then give them a cut, and then you're trying to release half the day and then give them a cut, but it kind of just looks like it's more than it really is. I teach magic to anybody who wants to learn magic. I teach beginner magic to lay people, and I've seen so many ways of shuffling. It's unbelievable. I met this German lady with very large hands who she had a way of shuffling where you put them like that. I can't do it, but then she'd put the edges together, and then she would shake the cards together. And I thought, I've never seen this before, but again, it just goes to show that magicians are maybe overly focused on what we call card table procedure. But when you meet and see lay people shuffling cards, you realise that there isn't any such thing as card table procedure, because most people don't play cards in conditions where you use card table procedure.
Certainly not if they're shuffling the cards. Anyway,
no, absolutely.
I played around for a while. I had a fascination with trying to do invisible pharaoh shuffles, and I played around with that same kind of action, but I mean not invisible, but just pharaoh shuffles that look like how you normally shuffle. And I played around.
Exactly.
I'm out of strokes, but it's still it's surprisingly you can get quite accurate.
Yes,
which is still it's pointless if it's not 100% accurate, but still. Cool. Really, some great stuff.
So there were a couple of things with the full shuffles which I just wanted to quickly go over, which is a couple of stacking methods.
Okay.
So these are, you would classify these as pseudo-cheating methods, right? So these are not, you would never try to use these again under what they call card table conditions.
Right.
Okay.
These are for exhibitions.
But yeah, these are for exhibition purposes. So you just shuffle the cards like this, right? So the idea is just to stack the cards for 4 hands like this. Okay. So the method for that is to start with a break under 3. So you've got a thumb break under 3.
Okay. So my aces. So you carry on.
Yeah.
I'll catch you up.
Then we do a center cut from under those 3 cards. So I strip out from the center under the 3. So now we do the Marlowe double block idea, which is to riffle up there and to hold back 3. So when I shuffle them together and I hold back 3 here, they go on to the first ace. Then we square up. Now I get a break under 2 aces, and we do the same thing again. I'm going to do a center cut, followed by the shuffle, and again I hold back 3 cards and they go on the second ace. Being careful not to shuffle it into the first ace.
This is from the painted shuffle, right?
The double block.
The double block.
But this move, this sequence is my stack sequence. Then we undercut from under 1 ace, and again we hold back 1, 2, 3, followed by shuffling 3 cards onto the last ace, like that. Okay. So now you've got this thing where the aces are stacked every 4th card. So that was one method that I came up with for stacking. So there's another method I came up with, which is as a fail-safe. It kind of prevents you from accidentally shuffling into your first stock. So
yeah, that's the hardest part of any of these kind of
yes,
shuffles,
that's
right?
right.
You
Yes.
especially if you're stacking 5-6 cards, you always the stack is getting bigger and bigger, and I always have trouble with that.
right. So the method is to shuffle the cards together like this and to square up. Then we shuffle the cards again like this and we square up. Then we shuffle a third time like that and we square up. And I think, have I done it? Let's just see. Yeah. Let's just see what happened there. So
That's impressive.
this is I forgot. I forgot. I got distracted.
So you did 3. Sorry, that's my fault.
Yeah. I'll demonstrate the move, and then you'll see what's happening. Okay, I got distracted. So you add 3 on the top, then you push in, then you get a break under your top base, and you square up with a break. Okay.
This is great.
So now you do a center cut, holding the break here. So over here you just have 3 aces, and over here is the stack. So when you now do your second shuffle, you again hold back 3, you push them in, you get the break under the second ace. Then you center cut. Then you hold back 3 more, they go on top of the third ace, and I forgot to stack the fourth ace, which is, again, you lift up on this edge with the thumb, get the break, push it in, then you do the fourth shuffle, 1, 2, 3, and you're all set.
That's
so
great.
Those are a couple of ways of getting the ace to stack 4 hands. If you want five hands, then you can simply hold back 4 cards with the thumb.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for late people, 4 hands is good enough.
I've never seen that before. I think it's fantastic. I'm going to practice that.
Yeah. So there are a couple of ways of stacking aces. So that's pretty much the 4 shuffles. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we left the. I said the other stuff was easy. This stuff is not, but it's incredible. Yes. This stacking thing is. I'm very excited about this. Actually, I'm going to play with that.
Yeah.
The last thing. So thank you very much.
Well, should we move on to some glimpses, maybe?
I want to see glimpses. I'm not very good at glimpses, so this will be great.
Yeah. So the first glimpse, I will do a double. It's a double spectator glimpse. So we use the traditional ripple peak thing. So the first spectator peeks. Let's say that card. I don't know if they can pick that one up. Mm-hmm. And sorry.
Start again.
Yeah, so they see that card, okay. Then we have another card peeked at, they say stop, and that's the second card there.
Okay.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to just come down and we're going to just cut the cards a couple of times, okay. We will cut the cards again like that, and then the deck shuffled, okay. So you can shuffle them up and whatever. So this is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of a shuffle they do. So I can now go through and I can find, I think they were the 7 of spades and the 5 of hearts. Is that right?
I actually couldn't see on the monitor, but Mark is nodding, so I think we got it.
Okay. So this, it may make sense to do the stand. I wouldn't normally do this at the table. This is really a standing move where they're looking down on the cards.
Sure.
So if let's say that I want to glimpse the bottom of the deck. So what I do is I do a cut and I glimpse the 9 of diamonds. Okay. So the way this works is that I call this the half-pass glimpse.
Okay.
So what happens is that I'm going to do a half-pass action to glimpse that card and then come back and I do a cut with a break. Okay, so I will do that again just to try and get the angle on that. If you do a half pass, you see you get a very nice glimpse of the card there. Okay, so it's half pass, then we revolve back and you go into a cut with a break. Wow. So if you have 2 cards peeked at, so the first card they peek one card there.
Got it.
Then you have another card piece, and the breaks are taken below the two selections. You're in that condition there.
Let's just pause and talk about the breaks quickly. So you are getting a picky break,
finger break, yeah, and then a ring finger break.
Ring finger break.
That's right.
And they're just getting shoved in. Now, are they big breaks or?
No, they're flesh breaks.
Flesh break, okay.
Yeah. So what happens now is that I'm going to take over the top break with my right thumb. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to undercut. So the first packet is irrelevant because the two peaked selections are now on the bottom and now on the upper packet.
Sure.
So I get my first half-pass glimpse of the jack of clubs, and I come out and I go on the top and I lose it.
Now, when you half pass, are you doing like this or are you twisting around?
So what happens is that I'm going to if I substitute this, so that's the top half, and the bottom half I am flipping around to there, and then I'm flipping back again.
Okay, so you are just keeping perpendicular, you're not
that's right.
Twisting.
So
okay, great.
If I was going to do this at the table, I would use the edge of the table to hide the move. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to twist and get the glimpse, and I can come back and cut to the top.
Great.
So that's what I call the half-pass glimpse.
So are you glimpsing in the same action? So it's glimpse as you cut, or are you glimpsing then cutting?
So what happens is that I'm here, I don't know what the bottom card is, I glimpse and then I cut straight away.
So it's kind of the same action for
it.
Right, okay, great.
Yeah. So that's the half-pass glimpse. So we're glimpsed and then cut. Cool. So the double, just to finish off my explanation of the double glimpse, break below with ring finger. Then what happens is I half-pass glimpse. No, sorry, I don't do that. Sorry. I just cut the first back and then I retake the break. Mm-hmm. So now I get the glimpse and I lose it. Then I glimpse again and I lose it, and they can shuffle and we know the two cards.
Great.
So that's a very disarming sequence, because from the front, there's the first card, there is the second card, I'm down, I do a casual cut, then I come on stage and I wait, and then I get my first glimpse, then I dribble the cards, then I get the second glimpse, then I dribble the cards, and I can now go through and I can do whatever effect I want to find those two cards.
You know why I like this glimpse is I'm left-handed, and a lot of glimpses are not great for me, especially from fingertip kind of grips.
Yeah.
But this, like, while I don't have the same visibility as you do, I can just see enough down here to know the card, and it's actually very helpful.
That's right. And you know.
So I probably have to do a slightly bigger half pass action than you do, because I'm not seeing the same corner. But actually, it's very useful. I'm going to definitely play with that.
Yeah, and I suppose if you use, there are certain. I have seen Fournier cards with quadruple index. So of course, you can, with a quadruple index, you can use any kind of glimpse that you want.
Yeah, but
but for purists, you're absolutely right. You'd have to use a slightly larger action.
Yes, great, very useful. Thank you.
So there is another glimpse. So the next one really is, I think, something that you could use, because this one, if I just do it for the main camera, just up here like this, the cards are out in this position, and you get a stop. Then you take the half and you show the card like that, and then you come back and you're there with the glimpse. Okay.
Right.
So, for example, if they say stop there, and then I do that and I show the card and I come back, you get a full-on exposure of the three parts or whatever card they stopped at.
Teach it me.
So in this position, you're going to grab it. Intuitively, you grasp them like that, wouldn't you?
Sure.
But what we're going to do instead is we're going to grasp them with the thumb on the top. Okay, the thumb is going to be on the top. Then I'm going to pull them to the right, or in your case, to the left, and it's swiveling around. And when I see the face of it, I then come up with the fingers on the top. Okay,
that's great.
So the action is to go like swivel in, glimpse, and show.
I like that.
All right.
I like that you get to see the card before the spectator as well.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. So if I just swivel around and show the rear, you have this we get a stop like that, and then we swivel and get the flash of the full face of the card. So this is some viewers may be familiar with a glimpse by Eddie Fields, which Rack Baumer called the gold glimpse, because he needs a bit of gold to do it, which is where you turn around like that, you see, and show the card. So it's a say stop, and then you turn it around and put it on the top, get a glimpse and show it. This is another very good glimpse. My one has the advantage that the hand can move really well forward like this.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem possible in that position to get a glimpse of, I got the same card again, but it just doesn't seem possible to get a forward glimpse of the card when your hands are well forward like that, you see.
And the cool thing is you don't need to see the full face of the card, just a tiny bit of it is enough.
Yeah, that's right. Although because of the swivel action, you do kind of get a full glimpse of the face. But yeah, you're right. You need to see it at an angle.
Yeah, that's great. I used to use the Eddie Fields glimpse, but the problem is you have to kind of do it, if you're doing it for magicians, as you like pull their focus in, whereas this you don't need to at all. You're straight there.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's a very practical glimpse, and that brings us on to another glimpse, which is one of my favourite glimpses, which is the Marlowe dribble glimpse. So the dribble glimpse, I do it a little bit differently from the way Marlowe does it. Marlowe did it with this. You show the card and then you get the glimpse when you swing it back. Whereas I prefer to hold them out sort of arm's length, and I can see every card that's going by. So when they call out stop, so if you just call it stop, and
Stop.
right there, I get the glimpse and then I look aside. So I've seen the 7 of diamonds there. So whatever card there, I've already got the glimpse.
Great.
Right? So if I just show the exposed view, you can see every card that's going by. So then you turn aside and you show the card. So I think that's quite strong, because what that means is that we're out here and I get the card and I show, and then it goes on the top and I hand the deck out, and then I look forward.
It's very cool.
So he also used the dribble for a top card glimpse, which again is very, very good. It's a very, very useful glimpse to do this. You come up and you see the top card. See? Cool. If you combine that with the dribble pass, which we will come to in the pass section, let's say your selection goes back there. When you do the dribble pass, you can get a glimpse of it straight at the end of the dribble action.
Great. And also Marlowe had the cool all-around square-up glimpse as well, right? Which is a great, useful glimpse.
Yeah, I mean, the old tap glimpse on the table is a very good glimpse. And, the blackjack type glimpse where you fan them out and you cover like that is a neat glimpse. There are all sorts of glimpses. Another glimpse I have used, which we might go into later, is a one-handed fan glimpse. So, for example, a card may be on the table. You may have a target card somewhere in this packet, and if you fannies and flip that card over, I can spot where the card is, which is under a flourishy kind of a reveal of that card, but wouldn't come back later.
That's the kind of stuff you would use for trick that can't be explained? Is that
possibly. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Yeah. So that's one of my favourite Marlowe glimpse. There is also a further glimpse, which is... this, if you just call it stop. Okay, and I thumb the card off there. So now you can look at the card, whatever it is, 9 of diamonds. Right?
Yeah, great.
So I call this the thumb off glimpse. So it's a side, I'm dribbling the cards by the sides, and I'm going to come forward and I'm going to pull the cards into a palm down mechanics grip. Then I'm going to push the card forward, and the fingers are going to bend the card down, so the fingers bend, and that's where we get the glimpse. So there is no tilting. There's no tilting. I literally get the I get the angle just there. Okay, so I thumb it off there and I get the angle there.
That's my favorite of these glimpses. This is great.
Yeah, and. I showed this to Simon Alexander. He had a very nice tip, which was to or suggestion rather, which was to do the dribble and show the card. Then you come down and you thumb it off. You say put your hand on, and that's a really nice subtlety on that, because it just seems again it's very clean. You don't know what the card is. You're looking away, and then when you come forward and say put your hand on top, that's when you get the glimpse.
Yeah, it's great.
So that's a very nice thing. So yeah, so we got one more glimpse, which maybe this is more for magicians, but we'll see about that. So let me just give it a shuffle. So if I make a prediction on this, so let's have make a prediction here. So I'll just do that. Okay. So that would be the first prediction. So Andy, do you just want to just say stop?
Stop.
All right, and we'll just take that card there. So let me just check that card. Okay, you did pretty well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Let me now make a second prediction. So that one goes there, and now would you say stop again?
Stop.
All right, and that one goes up to there. So let's see how well you did there. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You could literally have stopped any card anywhere in the deck.
Yeah.
You stopped on the 9 of diamonds and the 8 of spades.
I
How
did
about
it.
that? So yeah, this effect is more for magicians or what have you, because they're expecting a one-head principle. There is a one-head principle. It's not the usual one-head principle. What we call the one-head principle is simultaneously a one-behind principle. So, for example, you would normally put a card down on the table, and then you would do the move, and I'm one behind. But in actual fact, this is a combined force and glimpse, and it will allow us to segue into the forces section. So what happens is that I glimpse the bottom card, 9 of diamonds, and I write down 9 of diamonds. Then I'm going to maneuver the deck into what is actually a face-up grip, but held palm down, the index finger on the top. So I'm going to I will try and show from this angle, if I come in like that, I'm going to riffle up, and two things will happen simultaneously. The first is when they say stop, I'm going to glimpse the 3 of spades. Then I put my index finger in there and my thumb on the top, and I pull the top half out like that. Then I thumb off with my left hand the first card, the 9 of diamonds, and meanwhile, I know the 3 of spades is underneath this off. So, as per the usual one ahead trick, you look at that card and you go, oh, you did very well. Then you write down the card on here, and of course, because magicians are expecting the one ahead, they now think, oh yeah, okay, you're one behind, so you've written 3 of spades, but you're actually going to force 3 of spades. So again, it's the same thing. They say stop, then you index finger, thumb, you pull out, and you thumb off that card there. So working for magicians, you now look at this card and say, oh, you've done very well. You then look through and you cut them, and they're expecting a move, but of course you then show the 2 cards.
Great.
So that's a combined force glimpse.
Yeah, because normally they're looking for the switch at that point. That's really fun, for magicians. The other thing I like about all of these techniques is a lot of this stuff is kind of magician-centric, but actually it all waters down to be perfect for lay people as well. Like, it's still a great trick.
Absolutely. That's 100%. That's my philosophy of magic, which is I use the same tricks for lay people and magicians. They're all really simple tricks.
Yeah.
I like one-shot tricks. I love, multiple phase on and water and ace assemblies, whatever. When I perform for lay people, I do one-shot tricks. Do the trick, that's it. If they like it, then I can do another similar trick as if it were a second phase. Alternatively, if I do if I do a multi-phase routine for lay people, and they react really strongly after the first phase, and then I stop. So, for example, on one occasion, I started to do coins across for people, and I retain a coin, do this, and bam, one coin. It got such a strong reaction, I just finished the trick. It's like, I'm not going to do it, because I can't beat that reaction. Yeah, well, I just finished with one coin passing. Why not?
A lot of magicians would lean in and do, keep going. But it's a really interesting thought that leave them with the most impressive moment.
That's right. Yeah, if they like it, leave them with that.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you already teased the next section. So we've done the controls, we've done post shuffles, we've done glimpses. So next we're going to do some forces.
So that was the palm down version of the illogical ripple force. So the original illogical ripple force was, for example, I want to force 3 spades. So you call out stop. I'm sorry, Andy, you're going to be calling out stop all the time.
I'm used to it. Stop.
So then we had the card there. Okay. So there are many ways of doing this move. I tend to do it differently every time I do it because I know so many ways of doing it. But let's just, if I grab on the backhand. So, so you can do the move like this, and you can do that and thumb it off. I'll show you the basic action, which is the same as before. The deck is in a mechanic's grip. We turn the palm down with the index ring on the face. Very important. Then we riffle up with the thumb like this. Now, you've got to be able to riffle the cards without dropping them. I know it sounds silly, but you anchor the cards with these 2 fingers against the base of the thumb. So it will take some practice to be able to do that action. So once they say stop, the index finger goes in and the thumb goes on the face, and then I let go with my left thumb and I drag that up half out, and then I turn both halves over and I thumb off that card. Okay.
Now this is your technique, right? It's really fun, and you have a lot of work on this. I've seen over the years. I just want to run through it one more time because I sense it's going to be important for the rest of this section.
Sure.
So deck is in essentially dealing grip to start with, mechanic's grip, turn over, index finger curls on top, riffle down. They say stop, index finger goes in, thumb goes on top, we drag the top section.
And now, normally both hands turn over at the same time.
Okay.
And you thumb that one off, or you give it to somebody.
And the reason for turning both hands is just so that to keep the optical illusion of...
To keep the optical illusion.
Great, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. And because this hand is naturally further forward, we feel like that was the point they stopped at anyway.
And also because the deck is always in this hand. If they were to say stop and you were to give that off, it kind of seems like, where did that half come from?
Right.
Whereas because it's in the left hand... you're always dealing from that hand. When they see half there, it feels like it's from the middle.
Sure. What a fun move. It's a ripple force, but with no slight.
There's no break or cut. So one possible variation is to simply keep the right hand palm up and say just take that card there. It's a nice variation. Roger crossed the way when I showed in the move, he started to do it like this. You say stop, and you say just take that card there.
Right.
Yeah, it's a nice way of doing it. So, we will come to some effects in the second half of the second lecture, which uses the illogical ripple force. But there's some variations on the move.
Can you tell me about Roger Crossway? I met him once for a very brief second. It was at Jack Parker's funeral. He appeared, and I was like, "That's Roger Crossway." And then I went to talk to him, and he'd gone. I said hi to him, and that was it. But he's, to me, quite a character that's difficult to track down. I never see him around, but he has a big collection of material. Can you talk just a bit about him?
Sure. I mean, he got into magic. He was first publishing stuff back in the 60s in Gen. He did a lot of work on Thinker Card and a lot of work on the longitudinal Tenkite palm, which is the palm I never used myself. But, super talented card magician and entertaining performer. And, as far as I know, he's still around. He goes in and out of magic, so...
You wrote 2 books with him, or 1 book? Roger's the Source?
2 books. Roger's the Source, and then another book called Arcadia. Both in the 1990s.
Very Marlowe-esque material, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And so he's still around.
As far as I know, I've not heard otherwise.
Cool. I'd love to meet him one day.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
I just heard the name, and
Yes.
I'd love to know more about it.
So you can just look at my notes here just to remind myself. So another option with the illogical river force is to do this. To start a neutral position and turn that on down, you put the index finger, they say stop, and then when you pull this off out, you can now thumb that card off face up. See?
Cool. 2 questions. Is the fact that this hand is higher, is that part of it to suggest that you cut off here?
Well, I've played around with lots of ideas. If this hand is a little bit higher and this hand a little bit lower, and also you're in this slightly off killed asymmetrical position.
Right.
So it's kind of like when I teach people the French drop, beginners want to learn the French drop.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens with the French drop is that if you're in this position and you do the move and then you go like that, you're playing a game of guess which hand has the coin.
Right.
Whereas if you do the French drop and you turn that hand, now the eye is drawn more to this hand. It's better. It's still not great because the hands are still symmetrical. Whereas if you do the French drop and then you come back with that hand and you look at that hand, that's much better. Okay. So when you think in terms of a move like this, really you want to come forward straight away with that card. Just give it to the spectator or thumb it off to imply that's the card that's stopped at.
Right. So you want to get rid of this. This goes on the table often.
But I mean, as far as the vertical plane is concerned, there isn't really no vertical plane on this version.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the hand coming forward from a mechanic's grip implies that's coming from the middle.
Right. That's cool. My other question was, typically with this kind of move, you're riffling ahead of the audience. The audience can see, but here you're quite far back. So how do you handle that typically? You side on, or
you can tilt that. You can angle the deck forward so they can see that you're rippling them like that, and then you come in. And
so it's not done here; it's done more out here.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, sure. I have played around. When I first came up with the move, and I mentioned this in bold and illogical card moves, which is you can actually do the move with the thumb going and the fingers going on the face, and you can do that. Okay, that's certainly a viable option. So you come in like that with the hand palm down, you pick the move, and then you do and thumb it off. But I found that when you end up in that position like this, it's very symmetrical. Whereas when you're having the cards in this position, there's more of this has come from the top and that's come from the middle.
Sure.
But if people find that this way of doing it works for them, then that's fine. I won't argue with that.
Great. What else have we got?
What else have we got? So there is another force which looks like this. So want to force the jack diamonds, for instance, just say stop.
Stop.
All right, so we'll just do that, and that's the distance selection there.
Great.
Okay. So this is a kind of a minor variation on the Cardaro force, which I have seen also credited to Goldin. I don't know where it is. If it's Goldin, I don't know where it is. But Cardaro published this in Cardaro's Card Country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Cardaro force was to say stop, and then simply to revolve that half and come forward like that. Okay, so they say stop, and then you do that and come forward. Now, I have seen some people do the move as in it's kind of an exaggerated action. They point to that card and go forward. Now, I'm never going to argue with the way that if a professional or whoever it is does the move like this, and then they say, right, you take the card. If that works for them, then I'm not going to argue with that. Nonetheless, the way that I do the move, which I call the revolve cut force, is you get to the revolve, and then you'll end up in this position. Then you come down, and that has the illusion of coming from the middle.
Cool.
Because you have got this hand is automatically coming from the top, you see, so that goes forward from there. Yeah.
I've seen you use this as a revelation before as well, right? Coming here and then pulling.
Yeah, this
I don't know
correct.
it, but
so this is an ambidextrous revelation. So I'll probably stand up to demonstrate this move. So if I'm here, then you revolve and you come down, and you reveal an ace, and then you revolve and you do say stop there, and you come down and you deal the second ace. You do another riffle, you come down up here, do the third ace, and the last one is come to bluff. You just revolve there.
that's great.
And there's a funny story behind this, because I think it was a French website, which was a legitimate website selling.
Sure, it was. I wasn't questioning, Justin. Yeah. Okay.
And I saw the list of names on the left, and I saw my name on the left, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. I never knew I did something in France. So I clicked on the link, and it transpired that somebody at a convention somewhere asked me to perform this revelation and then explain it, and they filmed it, and then they sold it for $5 as a download, which I thought that's fine by me. If you're making money, that's fine by me.
Did I mention this is a masterclass? And we cleared that ahead of time, right? This is not just two friends hanging out. Okay, good. I was a little worried.
But anyway,
but that's a really nice little revelation. And it's exactly the same thing. But I've seen you do it like this as well, though, right? This in the hands to awful. Where you come here down and you take the card in this hand? Am I misremembering?
Let me just do the Ace of Revelation first. So the Ace of Revelation is an ambidextrous move. So you time it near the bottom, then you revolve, and this comes from the top, and you deal off the top card. Now you do the same thing again, but with the left-handed, i.e. in the right hand. You riffle down, you stop, you reveal, you revolve, then you come forward as if it's from the top, and you deal that one on the top. Mm-hmm. Then you do the same again this time. You come from the top, that gets down the table, and then the last one is a bluff. You just revolve and you reveal it. So yeah,
it's great.
That's a very nice revelation.
Perfect way to start an ace effect. Real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're palming the ace and the deck is shuffled, and you can take it back and you go straight into that revelation.
Yeah.
That's you do that, they'll be glued to your performance for the rest of the show, for sure. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So then we're coming on to the maybe one of my best known moves, which is the illogical dribble force. So they call that stop, and you deal the card forward there. This is from the middle. Okay. So this super simple move, the target card is on the top, and you dribble the cards, and they call that stop, and you transfer to the left hand. Then you turn palm down, and you thumb that card off. Now it's quite important. On the mat, it doesn't really work. When you do it on a hard surface, it slides forward. It actually slides forward like that, and then you come back, and then you dribble the rest of it, or you just take and drop them on the top. So the important thing, there's a little bit of crossing the gaze, a little bit of intransaction, because when they say stop, you're kind of like, right, okay, so sign the card. You know what I mean?
Great.
Yeah.
I love it.
When I see people doing that move, they tend to do the whole thing on stage. So what I mean by that is that they would do it then and thumb the card off and do it. Yeah. I'm trying to get more of a off-stage, on-stage thing going on. Yeah. So yeah, and a little bit of intransaction to it, and that really transforms the move, I feel.
It's great.
So yeah. So, for example, if I remove a prediction, let's just do this. Okay, so again, Andy, we just call that stop.
Stop.
All right, we do that. So then we reveal that we've got a match. Okay. So that's an example of how you can do the move from a face-up deck. Okay, so let's just try this. Let's just try this, Andy. So just say stop again.
Stop.
All right, you can do that one. And how will I do the last one? If you just go stop.
Stop.
Yeah, and we'll just deal that one off. And what have we got? 4 fours. Okay. So the illogical dribble force can be done from a face-up deck. So I'm going to force the jack of clubs, and you just blatantly do the thing. You do the force like that, and it comes from the face. But yeah, for some reason it doesn't change the deceptiveness of the move.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's a double discrepancy, because not only are you dealing a card off the top of the deck, but the uppermost card is changing to another card. But again, it's the optical illusion involved that makes it deceptive.
And compared to the standard riffle force or dribble force, I guess there's no break, there's no tension, there's no chance of missing.
So what is the point? What is the point of these moves? Is it just to do something quirky and different and illogical or whatever? No, the purpose is to get round the dead time. There's always a natural flow to any interaction. If you have to change the flow of the interaction to the move, so for example, I've got to cut, hold, break, even that one small thing can change the flow of the thing. You see this very often, for example, with, we were talking earlier with full shuttles. If you have a short sequence like that, my philosophy is to do it twice, rather than have some run 1-3, do the out jog, run 3 more, get the break. As soon as you go into that long sequence, you're having to manipulate the reality at the moment to the move. Whereas if you have a short sequence, you can much more easily tailor the move to the moment. And if you need to repeat the move, you repeat the move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what these moves are for. They're designed to go straight in. It's like there's no messing around. I can just pick up a deck of cards and I go straight into the move.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So really, they're designed so to get rid of the cut is the primary thing, which is always silly.
Yeah, the cut and the break. All of these things become visible. So a lack of breaks is, to me, a good thing, and the flow moves is a good thing.
Do you feel like because of the fact it's bold, it's any less deceptive?
I mean, the thing is that, Harry Lorraine's thing, if you can't do something secretly, do it openly. Mm-hmm. I think that applies to a lot of these illogical moves. So, in a way, they are so bold, it's kind of, maybe there's cognitive dissonance, I'm not sure, but there's a kind of, you can't believe that somebody would be so bold as to deal off the top card. Yeah. So the mind just kind of, the thing is, the hands, nobody knows what the real move would look like, right? No layperson will say that if you do a move like that, that's not the real move, because they've never analysed the real move. So as long as the move in some way resembles the real move, it doesn't have to be the real move. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the trap that we've all fallen into with what I call linear moves, which is that we're always in the laboratory. Now, this is a good thing. You should always practice the moves in the laboratory. But the mistake is to then take the laboratory with you when you're in the real world. And that's why you get into these things of moves that do not use misdirection. So I love Jerry Andrus type material, his panoramic shift where you do this and it's all very slowly done, whatever. These are great moves, but to me this is an example of taking the laboratory into the real world. When you actually perform in the real world, you find that not only do these things not really work as far as the timing and the situation is concerned, you don't need them. So a lot of laboratory-orientated magicians will say, that's no good, doesn't work. But for example, any real world performer knows that when you control a card with a single cut, 9 times out of 10, that's all you need to do.
Yeah. When I think about magicians like Danny Ortiz and Joe Barry, who kind of exploded on the magic scene, like they were mostly at the time when they became the tour, like people everyone was talking about, they were doing this kind of move, right? Because there was no tension. We didn't have the ways to connect it, because we weren't thinking, oh, they're doing a dribble force or whatever, because they had these tensionless, bold, illogical moves. I think it's really great. I'm enjoying playing around with this move.
Yeah. Well, that was the illogical dribble force, and just one thing. I had a palm replacement with the illogical dribble force. So, for example, you can dribble the cards like this, and they say stop, and you thumb a card there. So this has the added bonus of the fact that you can have an odd-backed card. So you can do the dribble force there, and you do a palm replacement and thumb the card off, and it lifts it back. Okay, so it's a standard Marlowe style palm replacement where you grab the card and put it onto the top. So you're there, you're here, you pull the card onto the top. So what happens is that you dribble the cards, you do the palm replacement, the thumb goes here, and you thumb the card off.
So it's called the pivot replacement, right?
I believe so, yeah. And my old friend Kevin Baker came up with a very nice streamlined method of that, which is to dribble the cards and easily grab the card in a angled jog and just thumb it off. Yeah. So if I do that with the 6 of clubs, so we're palming the 6 of clubs, and you do this and you just thumb the card. There you see.
That's great. I especially love the fact it can be an odd back. I think there's a lot of applications for that, for ML card or those kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Card. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So one more force which we can just slip in, which is a left-handed force. You can do it right-handed. So, for example, if I want to force the Jack of Hearts, so you go through the cards like this, and they call out stop whenever you want here, let's say, and you thumb the card off, and that's the Jack of Hearts, right? But the reason why I suggest doing it left-handed is if you do it right-handed, sometimes you can see the indices.
Right.
So they might just catch the index of a card, and then the card they take is not that card.
Let's just quickly explain that. It's great.
So I'm going to do it from my right hand into my left hand, and this will naturally conceal the indices. Now, for me, it's a little bit awkward to do it left-handed, but I will demonstrate like this.
So you're in straddle grip because of your in
Well, we're not in a straddle grip. You can do it in a straddle grip, but I use what I call spreading grip.
Okay.
Spreading grip, which is this. Spreading grip is just natural spreading grip.
Sure.
So I'm going to push the card off, and I'm going to sort of clip it here with the thumb, and I'm going to push another card off and then another card. So it's a counting action. This is a necktie count force. And then when they say stop, you simply lower the hands down, thumb off this card. Okay. So I would recommend practicing this in a left-handed manner like that. Then you come down, you thumb that card off. But you can do it from a normal right-handed position. You have a counting action like this, or if you want to, you can separate the hands. You see, you can separate the hands. They go out stop, and you come down, thumb the card off, which is the top card. Okay, so it's there. They go out stop, and you thumb the card off.
Very cool. It reminds me of Chris Kenner in his masterclass did some similar kind of left-handed work, different to this but similar. It reminds me of that. It's worth checking out.
Yeah. So I have done the move in the past just with a more of a spreading action like this, and it's a very casual kind of force. But I think with actual counting action, it has more of a deception to it. If you want to kind of apparently remove a random card from the middle just for as a prediction card, then it's absolutely fine done like that. Yeah. So I think that more or less wraps up the forces segment.
Great forces. I especially love the illogical dribble force.
Yeah.
I think it's great. And I hope that people are trying all this stuff along with cards in hand, because it really is fun, especially all this bold and analogical stuff. It's really fun to experiment with. So
yeah, and sometimes you'll find yourself fooling yourself with the move because you think the card should be there, but it's actually there. So
yeah, it's great. Well, next up, Spa, I've been really looking forward to your work on passes, and you're going to teach us like 5 or 6 different passes.
Yeah,
that's a lot of passes.
Well, I will do my best. So the first pass was something I came up with independently when I kind of misread the Derek Dingle ripple pass, or I kind of wondered whether I was doing it the way it was written in the book. Now, I wasn't quite sure, but the dribble pass, which is this pass, is to me a real world move. It's a real world move. So the selection is here. You come back and you dribble the cards. Now, if I do this from various angles, then hopefully you'll be able to pick up on the move. Okay, so this I'm just going to stand up a little bit just to do this move because it's kind of easier. Passes, generally speaking, are easier without the table blocking the move. Okay, so a lot of other people have explained the move since. I mean, I first published this in 1988. Marlowe independently thought of the dribble pass and published it in 86. Now, the key difference is that Marlowe raised the hand up. Now, what I find is that if you raise the hand up here, you get this flip. You get the flip like that, you see? So now the flip is normally covered in the dribble, okay? But my philosophy was to drop the hand with the lower half. So whether you do this fingertip grip, which I was using back in the 80s for the move, or whether you use the mechanics grip, if you lower the hands down, I find that the flip becomes part of the drop. So rather than you raise and then flip, you drop, and it just seems to cover the flip better, in my opinion.
Interesting.
So I'm just going to look from that angle there. I don't know. It's difficult to expose the move, but if you do it there, you're going to have the cards in a raised grip. Now this is very important for the pass. So, for example, with the classic pass, if you put it into a raised grip, you can go straight into the move. Okay. So what I mean by that is that from a raised grip, which is this grip, if you don't do that, you get the break, then you come over, then you go into the raised grip, and then you do your pass, right? So what I found is that, and it's not my idea, I think Vernon did it as well, but whatever pass you do, if you go into the raised grip as you go into there, then you can do the pass straight away. Mm-hmm. So you go into the raised grip and you can talk like that, and then you come back and you do the pass there. So as far as the dribble pass is concerned, if you go into a raised grip, you can come straight into the move. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I will do a brief expo from the back just to show that you get into the raised grip there. So you get into a deep grip here.
Can you elaborate on the raised grip in a minute?
So there's the mechanics grip, the raised grip right up here.
And the wrist is twisted as well? Or?
The wrist is not twisted, but you naturally turn in at the wrist anyway. You can't not turn in. So with a break, a standard break, if you have your break normally like that, you've now got to grasp the deck and reset before you can do your pass. Okay. Whereas if you get into the raised grip itself, you can now do the dribble pass from that position.
And you're just saving a little bit of the action of coming down.
Yeah, that's right. You're saving having to go from there into here into there.
Sure.
So the dribble pass, it's really from a deep mechanics grip. You simply grasp the lower half. You drop that half with the hand and dribble. So that's all it is. Okay. Or we can have a raised grip with the index finger for more of a snap action, but it's the same thing that you're lowering the hand, you're not raising the hand. So, okay. Now, from the same kind of a grip, you can also do a kind of a one card pass, which I can't expose it from the front. Let's say there's a selection there. You can literally pull out the middle card along with the bottom card. So if you have sweaty hands, this can work quite well because the bottom card gets dragged along. If you have dry hands, you may find a single card pass from the middle works well. You're just pulling out from the middle like that, okay? So the card is in the middle, then you pull the card out, it's on the bottom. But I think with the bottom card cover, with the card coming off the bottom at the same time, adds a nice cover to the move, and also the fact that the target card is on the bottom makes it more deceptive. So those are just some thoughts on the dribble pass, which is that pass.
Yeah, really useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, one more thing, if I stand up, there's an interesting feature of the move, which is that if the selection is here, after you've done the move, they don't see the selection on the bottom, or whichever, if that's the selection there, after the move, you don't see the selection on the bottom, because the deck lands on the hand. Okay.
It's great.
So, as I said earlier, you can glimpse the card at the same time as you do the pass, and you get a glimpse at the top, which is just this tilting inward thing like that. Okay. So that's the dribble pass, and the slip pass. Now there is. I'm going to try and come. When I stand up, I'll come forward a little bit so that the camera can see this. So this is a spread pass. I call it the 360-degree spread pass because really the object of the move is to be able to do the spread pass from any angle. So, for example, if I come in there and I do the move from that angle there, or I will do the move from this angle here. So you come in like that and you come over the top and you square up, and I will do the move just from one more angle here, just to show you from that side. So what happens is that you come in like this, and then you come over the top, and you've got the pass there. So I'll show you the rear view of this one, which is to as a Randy Wakeman idea, to out jog cards to get cover. So what I'm doing, the difference between this and the original spread pass is that you normally kind of flip over like that, or you normally do kind of like that, right? Let's see, like that. Whereas what I'm doing in this particular pass is that I'm coming in and I'm really covering from the front here, like this position there. Then I come over the top, and then when I come over the top, my hand comes flat over the top and covers the deck, and then I square up. So if I do it from this position here, I come in and I cover it, and then I come over the top like that, you see. Okay. So this is, even from this angle, if I show you the rear view like that, it's well covered, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
And over your shoulders, it's going to be well covered.
Yeah.
Whereas normally we might get this action, it might be exposed.
Yeah. So one other philosophy that I have, which again is not mine, it's just something I've adopted, which is, and I'm sure many magicians going way back have had the same thing, which is to try to avoid body turns if you can. Mm-hmm. So in other words, if you're going to do a spread pass, or you're going to do any pass at all, try to do the move which is done without unnecessary body turns, because you wouldn't do the body turn in real life.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's my take on the spread pass.
You tend to do the spread pass when you lean back slightly. Is that deliberate?
Probably because it's you're going to be coming off stage, so you're kind of like coming here and then doing the move.
Great. So as the deck comes towards the body.
The important thing is not to go into the move too early. If you come in and start to do that, then you're going to flash. So I have to be very conscious of not doing that. So you've got to cover the front there and then come in for the action.
Oh, that's useful. Yeah, not doing it too early, for sure. You have some work on the swivel pass as well, right?
Well, so the swivel pass, let me just remind myself what that is. Well, actually, before we get into that, there's a thing that I call the belly pass.
Okay.
Right, the belly pass. So what that is that you come in for the pass and then you kind of tamp the deck against your belly like that. So you can apply this to a Herman type pass. So you come in there and you just tap them there like that.
That's fun.
It's very, again, it's very much something that you do in the flow at the moment. So
Right.
Would I do this move right now? Probably not. But if I was wearing a jacket or I was standing up or the situation was different, you might be in that position where you're here and you just tap them against your belly like that. And it's a very casual type, more of a layman type, maybe a mentalist would again, somebody doesn't want to convey skill, might well use that type of a square action, which I've seen lady would use when they're,
Would you consider putting on some weight so you don't have to come as far
Absolutely.
back? Okay, just good to know.
So yeah, that doesn't really work for me. So so that's the belly pass, which you can apply to lots of different shifts. Something that I have used over the years is something called the 3 o'clock shift. So this has kind of a long story. Steve Drawn had the midnight shift, which is this move like that. See.
Yep.
So then Marlowe took the midnight shift and did it with a tap, which he called the 6 o'clock shift. And there's also the end tap pass on the table, which he used that. Okay. So I came up with something called the 3 o'clock shift. Right, so the 3 o'clock shift is to come back here and do that.
Oh, cool.
So the action is, if I show it here, you're going to do the usual Herman pass type action, and then you come over the top and you turn the deck so it's facing to either 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and then the deck goes down the table. Okay, so you're here. Then you do the Herman pass action, then you do this and down the table.
I notice with your passes you use, I guess we could say it's Marlowe style, where you actually come over the table edge when you're sat down. Do you use that a lot?
You may as well. Since you got the deck, since you're sitting at a table, you may as well use the edge of the table.
Because you're blocking so much more than if you're signaling the move.
Right. There are very few passes that can be done over the table. So, for example, the dribble pass can be done over the table. If you try to do a classic pass over the table, it's very difficult to hide it. There are passes that you can do over the table. For example, Marlowe has a couple of combination passes. So, if I do this for the close-up camera there, you can get a pass over the table. Marlowe has his extended finger pass, which is that pass, which is done over the table. But normally, you would want to come back to the edge of the table to do a pass because you get the extra cover.
Which again is kind of moving into the shadows off stage, as you call it. So
absolutely, so it fits in with the whole off stage, on stage thing. So there's a couple more passes which I wanted to go in. Oh, the half. So with the midnight shift, Steve Drawn's midnight shift, instead of doing a full 1-2 action, which is great for a colour change. I mean, for a colour change or for an ambitious card ending where the card is in the middle and then you do this turnaround. It's a really good move. But for a control, I would be more inclined to come back and do a half turn and then put the deck down on the table. But it's more of a natural action there. So you're here, you come back, you do the half turn, you go down on the table.
That's great.
So so a couple more passes, which the first one, I've never published these because I never really thought they were worth publishing, but I was reminded of them when I was thinking of this masterclass. So the first pass is a stand-up pass. So the pass is done in this position here. So this half goes on the top, and then what you do is you come over and you swivel the cards, and it's on the top. So if I do this, let's say with the ace of hearts, I'm here like that, and then I grab the deck and I do a swivel action, and it's on the top. So this is quite an unusual pass. It's sort of a classic. If you want to create two categories of Herman pass or classic, it's more like a classic. So we're in this deep grip again, same type of deep grip with the finger break there. So I'm literally going to grab the bottom half in this kind of weird vertical position, and then I'm going to swivel it like that. So what's going to happen is that the top half is going to come off, and it's going to go underneath. So if I just turn around, I'm going to grab here, then I'm going to lever that one. And it's not a fast pass. It's not. It's not meant to be a fast pass, but you do that. You see. So you're here, and you swivel, and then that comes up underneath. So from the top, it's a kind of in a group of people looking down type thing. You're going to like that. You see. There. Okay. So that was the first one that I never really published, and then the other one is actually the opposite move. So the opposite move is to come over like this, and then you come over the top and put the deck down on the table. Okay. So what happens? It's a Herman type pass. So if I just grab this block again, where is it gone? I can't find the block. It doesn't matter. So it's a Herman type pass done with, here it is. We're in this position, then I'm going to do the Herman type pass, and then I'm going to bring the hand just over the top to cover that half coming on top of the deck down the table. Okay, so we're here, then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to come over the top and put the deck down the table. So this goes here, and I come over the top, deck goes down. Now, this is a slightly unnatural position to be in, but it's such a, you're only in that position for such a short space of time that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
okay.
I like it.
So, well, that brings it reminds me of one more pass, which this was a pass I showed it to Marlowe, and he didn't understand what it. He was kind of surprised by the outcome because it's done very, very casually. So it will look a bit weird because I'm going to have to do it kind of like a drastic body turn. But this is basically the thing. When you're in the right position with somebody, you can just use this. So, for example, let's have the 7 of hearts as the target card. So this half goes on the face like that, and then we just flip the deck and flip it again, and it's now on the face. Okay, so this is not an original idea with me. I have found, I think maybe Ben Harris may have had something similar on this, but basically you're going to do a Herman pass, and then you're going to leave that half there. So you're screening that half with your hand like that, you see. So now you can do the flip, and you can do the flip again, and it's changed, or you've controlled the card. Or you can come over here and you do the flip, and then you revolt the deck. But I think that's the way I did it for Marlowe.
You fooled Marlowe, right?
Yeah, because it's the kind of the thing is that because you're already in that position, you're not when you see the flip, you just think the deck has been turned over. So when you flip it again and it's changed, you're not expecting it.
That's great. Yeah, it's like you're breaking it down into 2 actions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. That's fun.
Yeah. One more thing that I want to slip in very quickly, which again I've not published, is the idea of doing a half pass as a control. So you do the half pass like that, and then you turn the hands down like that and flop the deck. Then when you come back again, you do another half pass of the lower half. I can't find that. Yeah, like that. You've controlled the card to the top. It's a bit of a clunky way of doing it, but nonetheless, it's just something to experiment with. There's the card in the middle. You do a half pass, then you're there. You can put the deck down, you see, and then when you want to, you just come back and you finish the half pass and the card on the top. So anyway, that's something to do.
And you can do the second half pass later on in the routine,
exactly.
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, or alternatively, you can do the half pass. You can go into the half pass there and put the deck down without the flop.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, you're going to reverse the deck, and then you've now got the card on the top. So you could use that for a stop trick, or you could, for example, you could do it in a situation where you want to, do a stop trick. They can say stop, and you can just put the deck down and show those cards, and show the stops on that card, for instance. So.
Triumph would be a easy way of getting a triumph. Yeah.
So that more or less covers the passes, I think. Yeah.
Cover pass.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
It's just for me. It's fine. But this seems like the perfect way to end. We promised 30 moves. I think you over-delivered. I haven't counted, but to get this many moves in an hour and a half is remarkable. And what is it, like one move every 3 minutes, yet somehow you're able to clearly teach every one of them. So you rose to this challenge.
Well, thank you, and I've enjoyed it. And the next section, the next masterclass, or the second half, we will look at some effects that use forces and glimpses and passes and whatever. So, they're all my takes on classic effects. And I apply the same methodology to the effects that I do to the moves, which is to try and achieve them using the least amount of moves.
So, of the moves that we've learned this week, what are the ones you would recommend people practice and work on for next week to learn some of these effects?
So it's a bit like Royal Road. Not all of the moves I use will be in the effects. The effects use concepts that we've discussed, forces and glimpses and passes. If people become familiar with the illogical riffle force, that will help a lot for next time, for sure.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much, Justin. This has been superb. I have had so much fun learning this.
My pleasure.
Hopefully, I haven't interrupted too much while I've been enjoying this.
Perfect host.
It's been like a perfectly fun session. So thanks very much, and we'll see everybody next week. Hope you enjoyed it. Now, don't forget that there's the Q&A below this video if you're one of the people watching this live and not on catch up. So post your questions, because in a couple of weeks, Damien is going to be asking them to Justin. I'm going to give you a hint of one of the things I think you should ask about. You should ask about how Justin knew Marlowe and the kind of magic that he did for Marlowe and that he learned from Marlowe, and similar questions about Vernon, because there's a lot of stories there that I want to save for the Q&A. So hopefully some people ask those questions, because the Q&A is about what you want to know, but that's some things I recommend asking about. See you next week.
Cheers, Andy. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.